Hey folks, let's give it another couple minutes and then we can get started.
Tim, is Gail out today or is she joining?
Let me see where she is.
And that's probably her.
Oh yeah, this is Gail. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't realize I was logged in as the foundation.
It happens to me sometimes. So.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll fix that.
It still says Presto Foundation, so.
Just gonna say that. I'll fix it manually. There we go. Hey everyone.
Hey. So I'll get us started. Let me share my screen. Go. Just a couple of agenda items, and we can leave it. We can leave that last bullet more open-ended if folks would prefer. So I'll get started. Firstly, thanks everyone for attending, and I hope that everyone had a good sort of 4th of July break. So the first item on the agenda is just a very quick update about the Presto Conformance Program. We elected a performance program chair. The election result was Rohan Pendekar from Ahana. So I just wanted to congratulate Rohan, and he will be sharing next steps in terms of meetings and such in future TSC meetings, and we'll be reporting progress back into these meetings. Just once again, if you're interested in participating in this program, simply go into the mailing list for Presto DB. There's a conformance program mailing list. Simply subscribe yourself there, and you'll be included in future working group meetings and also mailing list communication. Cool. So that's the update on the Presto Conformance Program. And then I just also wanted to quickly update folks on the roadmap planning for 2021 second half. So as I mentioned in the last meeting, we started collecting contributions from that folks plan to bring to Presto at the last TSC meeting. And I have closed the document for future contributions, but feel free if something was missing or if you missed the previous communication, feel free to ping me on Slack or send me an email or just reply on the mailing list email about other features that you would like to add to this. So we don't have to consider it permanently closed off. There are a lot of exciting contributions in this document, so I would encourage people to just have a quick, like a quick browse through this document to see if there's something in particular that interests people, or if there's something in particular that you would like to learn more about. But in general, the enhancements are sort of like loosely segregated into some obvious bug fixes, a lot of new language features in terms of functions, additional language features are going to be added, some performance and efficiency improvements. Some of these may be more useful to folks than others. But a lot of exciting stuff there, especially for, ARIA optimizations for Parquet, for example, Presto Pack, task level bin packing, something that we at Facebook are very excited about. A lot of security enhancements coming from Ahana, some reliability oriented enhancements that we're also very excited about, including continued improvements to Presto and Spark, and continued production hardening for disaggregate coordinators, so that we can, get the community at large to begin using this feature. Some writer enhancements, in particular for Parquet, which is lagging a bit behind work that we would like to close the gaps on. Some new connectors and fixing some problems with the existing connectors. A lot of user experience enhancements, in particular around spilling and improving tail latency, which is very important for very low latency use cases. The leaf stage speculative execution, in particular, we're really excited about, because this can result in a pretty good performance enhancement, especially in cloud environments. And some enhancements around like S3 integration with AWS, and some further integration with looks like Alibaba. Some additional connectors looks like Delta Lake, improving the Apache Hudi support, and then also adding org support for Iceberg, which is a good one. And then also, some improvements around the language version. We would like to bump that up. We're still on language level 8. And then also improving some diagnostic level information for Presto, which, there's pretty much always room for improvement there. So I hope that, I sent this shortly before the meeting, but I would like to take a few minutes and see if anyone would like to either talk to some of these enhancements and sort of give a more broad overview for folks, or if anyone had any questions about some of these enhancements and that they would like to learn more, since we're all here.
Hey, thanks, team. This is Ben from Alexio. Thanks for sharing this doc. I try to access the doc and says I have no added access. So if I want to add more features, bug fixes to this documentation, should I apply for the right edit permission, or should I write some ask to you?
What I can do is I'll give you I'll open up edit access for you. I had posted off prior to this meeting, but definitely I don't want to. I want your contributions also to be in here, so I'll send you a link so that you can edit it directly.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, there are quite a few things on our side, and I and Beinan are collaborating to improve on Presto side.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
This is Gail. Do you think, Tim, we could move the document to the TSC folder and the Presto Google Drive? That way, everyone should have access to that, and if they don't, I can help manage access there. But then it's all in one place.
Yeah, that sounds like a very good solution. So
Okay.
that definitely, yeah, we'll move it to the TSC folder so that access is so that Gail can help out as well.
Okay.
I think, Tim, you suggested in your email that a lot of it should just move into GitHub, right? I would suggest adding a roadmap tag, so it's very easy to actually tag these features, and we can have a published roadmap in GitHub as well. So that way anybody can add capabilities over time, and hopefully nobody feels like not having access to this document means they can't contribute.
Yeah, just to be clear, so like my email also mentions the GitHub milestone, so that's how we'll be tracking it. But essentially, like we'll be tagging with the milestone. So like the purpose is really for me, so that I can sort of like help collect all of these contributions, and I have one place. So like we can leave it open for editing, and like the ultimate destination for all of this is in GitHub.
Yep. Yeah, and I can add a little bit more color. I don't know if anyone else is on and wants to jump in on some of these capabilities and additions. Tim, happy to add some more context and color to the work that we're doing.
Sure, go for it.
All right. So first thing, I mean, it's a very impressive list overall, right? That's the best part of a foundation like this, where multiple companies come together to contribute, and I can see where some of the scalability and the reliability features benefit others, right? Specifically from an Ahana perspective, we are focused on a few different areas. We'll continue to add language features over time. But performance is one where we see there is a lot of, like you said, so Orc has a lot of good support. We want to expand on that and abstract ARIA to some extent so that we can extend it even further beyond Parquet. That's something that I think will benefit the community in large. The ARIA optimizations have been very impressive, and Ying and others have worked on it. And we think that making this more accessible via Parquet would help a lot of users. In addition, security is an area for enterprises and users, end users in general. And so that is a focus for us. We'll probably at some point have a design discussion around that, because there's, I think Dave is perhaps on the call as well, but we'd like to have a cleaner abstraction for some of these, where there are many different security integrations that can be done. But if it's a clean abstraction, it makes it a lot easier. For now, we will continue to work on the Apache Ranger plugin, add enhancements to that. A column level, row level filtering, which is a request that comes in pretty often, and adding other security enhancements as well, OAuth support and so on. If you scroll down a little bit, let me just try and don't remember all of it. Yeah, in the cloud area, right? So cloud is one where we see a lot of users. We're seeing a lot of adoption of Presto in general on EC2, on EKS, and that's an area where we feel that glue support, S3 support can be significantly enhanced from a not only from a features perspective, but also from a testing and an integration testing perspective. And we want to beef that up so that it just runs with every build, and we'll probably merge that into the build into Circle CI as well. And then transaction managers, this is something that's still early. We need to do a little bit more design work here to have nice, clean abstractions across multiple transaction managers. The Presto Iceberg connector that Chunzu worked on is pretty great, and we want to do more. There's a lot of requests in that space, and so we want to help support that as well. So just a little bit more context to what we're doing and why. There's probably things that are not on this list, and as they come out, we'll open source them and add them to Git as well. So hope that helps. Anyone else on the Ahana team want to jump in, add anything else? Okay, back to you, Tim.
Sure. I'll go ahead and just sort of like go through many of the Facebook changes, just, like to sort of like bring additional context now that we're all here. So the, one that we're working on, we'll be working on in this half is task level bin packing. So what this is currently when we schedule tasks across the worker pool, we create them in essentially randomly. And what can happen with a highly loaded Presto cluster with random task scheduling is you end up with hotspots and sort of like, problems where certain nodes end up using more memory or run hotter CPU than other nodes. And the effect that this has is you tend to limit the concurrency to overcome that limitation, because you don't want to hit local memory ooms, and you don't you don't want to have a problem with one slow node slowing the rest of the cluster down. So this is a relatively low-hanging fruit type of change where we can integrate into the task scheduling information around CPU and memory utilization, and with some simple heuristics, we can alter that scheduling so that it ends up being more friendly for CPU, but in particular memory. This has like some particular advantages in the Facebook environment, but we think that this could be pretty broadly useful for people. Moving on. Disaggregate coordinator support in Presto. So this is completely merged on like on master, but like this is in the roadmap to continue production hardening and continue to improve it and fix bugs as they come across. So we could consider this to be sort of like a beta type of feature right now. It's not in the release notes. Those who are adventurous can opt into it, and we'll be continuing to harden it for production over the next few months. And it's similar for Spark. There are important gaps in Presto and Spark. In particular, spilling isn't 100%. There's also some local memory accounting bugs that tend to magnify problems when running on the Spark execution model. So we've also put an item for continuing to basically fix these Presto bugs that tend to be more noticeable when run on the Spark execution environment. But this is also available to use now, and this is really sort of like fixing, for both of these features, this is fixing sort of like edge and corner cases. Like these are definitely available to try, and in particular for Presto and Spark, this is running in production internally at Facebook. So moving on, leaf state speculative execution. I already talked about this just a little bit, but this is introducing speculative execution, which means looking at slow tasks and rescheduling splits to tasks to nodes that have higher throughput in terms of split processing. So the idea is in a distributed system, you tend to be dominated by the slowest node. This compensates for that fact by redoing work on a different node, so that you're no longer dominated by the slowest node, you're dominated by, let's say, the slowest 10 or 20 nodes. So this is to improve, reduce variability and reduce the impact due to like bad hardware being given to you, like let's say from AWS or like some sort of hardware issue creating tail latency issues. Adding line numbers to Presto plan. This is relatively, this is sort of like a debuggability improvement, but the idea is you can tie up the Presto plan to the line number in the actual SQL statement so that you can, troubleshoot a misbehaving query easier.
Tim, a quick question on the previous one. So on the bad hardware part, I know there was some work on the query retries. Is that going to continue, along those same lines, or is there a different plan there, or it's unknown?
Yeah, that's a great question. James had worked on the feature to perform a client-side retry in case, like, let's say, like a node goes away, or, like, let's say there's some sort of transient failure. This has some limitations, though, in particular, if you've read any data. So like if the client has received any page of data, it's not retriable anymore, because if you were to retry it, then you could send that data again, and you would have duplicate data. It works very well for create tables and inserts, where like the only thing that you get at the end of the query is sort of like the metadata around like how many rows were inserted, or the that things of that nature. What's interesting is that leaf state speculative execution is very similar, though, to leaf stage retry. The difference is that speculative execution, is sort of like a retry around slow hardware, versus an actual retry is a retry around like total failure. But otherwise, they're very similar features, and it's not on the roadmap, but we really would like to generalize this feature so that it's not just sort of like speculative execution, but in general, sort of like a slow or failed query retry.
It includes like checkpointing and stuff like that. And it can obviously, the infrastructure can be used more widely, right? So it'll be good to get a little bit more on that. Over time, it'll be great actually to have individual presentations on some of these areas at the TSC and design discussions, because it's helpful to as we look through other areas.
Yeah, I think query checkpointing is for sure something that we definitely want to pursue, and this is an area, I think, where if someone really wants to dive in and sort of like make a big architectural level improvement to Presto, it's one of these wide open things where I like there's room to do that. The exact mechanics of how and the direction that we want to take it, are, I would say, still open for discussion. And so this could be a good topic for anyone who has, sort of like a very good indication of what direction they want to take that. Like we could discuss that on the TSC or the mailing list. We could create a GitHub issue. But I think that this is sort of like one thing that's where it's the direction can be decided, and there's a lot of room for collaboration here.
Great, thank you.
Cool. And then I think the last thing from the Facebook side is operator spilling. And so this is really sort of like mainly bug fixes. So making this more resilient, especially once it hits the Spark execution model, sort of like all these tiny bugs just become sort of a lot more obvious and a lot less forgiving, in particular when run on the Spark execution model. So there's a lot of work to do there to further improve operator spilling. Cool. And that's all I had from the Facebook side, and just wanted to see if anyone else wanted to run through some of their changes, anything that you think's worth highlighting. Cool. So I will take that as a no. And that was the last agenda item that we had on the meeting. I wanted to open it up and see if anyone else had any other topic that they would like to discuss.
So hey, team, this is Rohan. I just want to thank everyone for electing me for the conference program chair. As an immediate next step, I will be setting up bi-weekly meetings with the conference work group. So please join that conference work group as well, and we can go from there.
Sounds good, Rohan. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else before we conclude the call? Okay, we'll end it just over a half hour early. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll see you on the mailing list and the next TC meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.